Every morning, millions of traders sit down to face the same invisible opponent. They have their setups, their screens, their confidence. And then the bell rings, and everything changes. The strategy they rehearsed disappears. The conviction they felt fades. Their composure fractures, and before they realize it, the market devours them whole. Here's a sobering truth. 95% of day traders lose money. Not most, not many. Almost everyone. The odds make Vegas look charitable. At least the casino buys you a drink while it empties your pockets. Most people believe trading success comes from patterns, indicators, or timing the perfect entry. But the world's greatest traders know something deeper. The market isn't testing your charting skills. It's testing your character, because the truth is, you're never trading the market. You're trading yourself, your fear, your need to be right, your hidden insecurities. The market isn't a monster trying to destroy you. It's a mirror, reflecting the parts of you that still need to evolve. That's why so few make it, and yet, the legends who do weren't born special. They weren't geniuses with secret systems. They were people who got tired of lying to themselves. They stared straight into their fear, their greed, their pride, and let the market burn those illusions away until only truth remained. In The New Market Wizards, Jack Schwager chronicled that transformation. He interviewed traders who earned tens of millions not because they were always right, but because they learned how to survive being wrong. Some were ex-teachers. Some were poker players. Some started with almost nothing, but they all shared one trait. They transformed from within. This isn't a trading tutorial. It's a blueprint for inner alchemy. You'll meet the trader who turned fear into an ally, the one who mastered losing so well. It became his competitive edge, the intuitive veteran whose gut instincts were forged through 10,000 hours of pattern recognition. And maybe, just maybe, you'll realize that your pain, your losses, your frustration were never the enemy. They were the curriculum. So if you've ever slammed your desk after a blown trade, if you've ever chased a candle that burned you to ashes, if you've ever wondered, why do I keep doing this to myself? Then this is your story, because the market doesn't want you to win. Not yet. Not until you become someone it can't. Break, let's begin. The market doesn't exist to make you rich. It's not a puzzle to solve or a game to beat. It doesn't care how smart you are, or how sure your prediction sounds. It doesn't care about anything at all. But what it does perfectly every second of every session is show you yourself, your hope, your fear, your arrogance, your impatience. Most traders never see. If they think they're analyzing price action, when in truth, price action is analyzing them. Jack Schwager's interviews all circle back to the same realization. The winners don't just study charts, they study their own minds. They've mapped their triggers, tracked their impulses, observed their chaos. One trader told Schwager, "I realized I was chasing trades the same way I chased approval as a kid." Another said, "I was trying to beat the market the way I tried to prove myself to my father." Let that sink in. How many of your trades are echoes of old emotional battles? How often do you hold too long because you can't stand being wrong? How often do you size up not because it's logical, but because you want to feel powerful again? The market doesn't care about your feelings, but it will put them on full display. And if you're willing to pay attention, it becomes the most brutally honest therapist you'll ever have. When you blow up an account, it's not bad luck. It's your unresolved impulses taking the wheel. One of Schwager's traders began journaling, not just his entries and exits, but his emotions during every trade. Over time, he uncovered a hidden rhythm. Fear always followed. 3 straight losses. Greed always appeared after seeing another trader's success. He learned to anticipate his internal signals better than any technical indicator ever could. His breakthrough didn't come from predicting the market, but from observing himself. The great traders didn't erase emotion. They befriended it. They studied it until it lost its power. That's when trading transformed, from panic into performance. So ask yourself, what if every trade is not a test of your strategy, but of your self-awareness? What if your true edge isn't in the setup, but in finally seeing what the market's been trying to show you all along. Because once you understand that reflection, you're ready for the next revelation, that the best traders aren't fearless warriors, they're cautious survivors. The greatest traders you'll ever meet have one thing in common. They're all terrified. Not in a paralyzing way, not the kind of fear that freezes you mid-click, but the kind that sharpens you, the kind that whispers, "You could be wrong." Protect yourself. The amateurs want to feel brave. They size up, they double down, they call it conviction. They think confidence means betting heavy. But confidence in the market isn't about standing your ground. It's about knowing exactly when to retreat. The market rewards humility disguised as caution. Every legend Schwager interviewed, Paul Tudor Jones, Bruce Kovner, Marty Schwartz, all admitted the same secret. They're cowards in the right way. Jones said he'd rather miss a trade than lose big on a wrong one. Kovner would cut his position instantly if it didn't feel right, no matter how much analysis supported it. Schwartz described himself as the most nervous guy on Wall Street. These men didn't conquer the market by being fearless. They survived it by being terrified of loss, of arrogance, of emotional blindness. Every trade begins with a risk, but the novice only sees the potential reward. The professional sees everything that can go wrong. That's the paradox of mastery. You reach a point where you're more afraid of your own overconfidence than of the market itself. The beginners crave certainty. The masters respect uncertainty so deeply, they build their entire method around it. Here's the truth Schwager's traders kept repeating. They win not because they know, they win because they doubt. One of them said, "Every time I feel sure, I size down." Another said, "Confidence kills. I trade best when I'm uneasy." Fear becomes a compass, not a curse. It points to where you need protection, where you're vulnerable, where your ego might be whispering lies. Think about it. The lion who roars loudest isn't the most dangerous. It's the one who's too sure of himself. The quiet one, watching, waiting, moving only when the wind is right, he's the killer. That's how elite traders move, cautious, measured, alert. They don't need to prove they're right. They just need to survive to trade again tomorrow, because survival is the foundation of every fortune. And survival begins with fear. So if you feel scared before placing a trade, good. That means you understand what's at stake. That means you're starting to see clearly. The fearless go broke. The cowards endure. And in this game, endurance is everything. Every trader enters the market believing they're here to win. They study strategies. They memorize indicators. They imagine the thrill of catching that perfect trade. But no one tells them the truth. You don't learn how to win until you learn how to lose, because the market is a master of pain. And its first lesson is humility. Every trader who's ever made real money has also been broken. They've watched months of profit evaporate in minutes. They've stared at their screens in disbelief as their can't-miss setup burned down. They've sworn never again, only to repeat the same mistake a week later. But the difference between the few who rise and the many who vanish isn't that the winners stop losing. It's that they learn to lose well. Marty Schwartz told Schwager, "The best loser is the long-term winner." Read that again. The best loser, because losing is the tuition you pay for staying in this game. It's how the market filters the impulsive from the disciplined, the gamblers from the professionals, the dreamers from the students of reality. Most traders treat a loss like a wound, something to hide, to deny, to win back. But pros treat a loss like data, information, feedback. A losing trade doesn't define them. It refines them. They don't rage against it. They dissect it. They ask, was it my execution, my timing, my emotion, or was it simply variance, one of those inevitable random outcomes in an uncertain system? This mindset shift changes everything. Amateurs think in wins and losses. Professionals think in probabilities. They know that if their edge plays out over hundreds of trades, a few losses don't matter. Each one is just a statistical whisper, not a verdict on their worth. So they don't chase revenge trades. They don't double down to prove they're right. They take the hit, record the data, and move on. Quietly, ruthlessly, like a surgeon removing rot. That's how emotional scar tissue becomes strength. Because every time you take a loss with discipline, You build something deeper than skill. You build resilience, and resilience compounds faster than any return. Here's the paradox. Once you stop fearing losses, your whole strategy stabilizes. Your trades become cleaner, your mind becomes calmer, and suddenly, you stop making the kind of mistakes that caused those losses in the first place. The traders who fear losing the least are usually the ones who lose the least. So don't run from loss. Study it, respect it, let it teach you who you are. Because the day you learn to lose gracefully is the day you finally start to win sustainably.